We will commence this dialogue by introducing Mrs. Stella Bourne Rennick, since she is the eldest member of the family. Mrs. Rennick, your family came here on what date?
Stella. They were not in here, to make the run in that at all. They came in with their cattle in covered wagon and driving these cattle to, after they run, and then they worked around a while until they found out some of those places they had come in illegally, and they contested, and that's where they got their place.
Where was this location?
Yes, the location. That was Eastern and what is that other number? See the house?
The first location.
The first location was right there, and the tent. There was no house, of course, but it faced Eastern, on Eastern Avenue.
Where was the first dairy located?
Right there on Eastern and 23rd, wasn't it?
Robinson and 23rd? Robinson and 23rd.
Yes, you see, they wasn't milked just but a few cows, and the rest of them were stock cattle, so they herded them out. But they kept the cows near enough.
How much acreage did you have there?
We had about 10 acres.
And you were sort of a herdswoman for this.
I did
These cattle, were you not?
Yes, I love to ride a good horse anyway, so that just fit me.
Were you ever forced to defend this claim with firearms?
Well, nearly everybody in the early days carried firearms. That wasn't any one particular person. Don't you know what they all did in those days?
But you avoided actual violence, is that correct?
Always wanted to keep out of anything like that as near as we could. Of course, there was all those things happened that made you wonder sometimes. Mother used to worry for fear something might happen to Father, because it's only natural that people are, one wants this, another wants that, whether it's legal or illegal. Why, there's always a little danger.
How many cows did you milk on the first dairy?
About 2 or 3.
2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
And how early did you start milking these cows?
Daily, about as soon as light enough to get out milk.
And what was your method of distribution?
Well, you see, we didn't have ice and things like that, but they milked and they delivered right away. And they had to, in order for the hotels and the restaurants, they tried to make it 6 o'clock. Get down there with that.
That is the time of delivery.
Mm-hmm.
So you would have to start milking at 3 or 4 in the morning.
Yes. And then later in the afternoon, or the evening, there'd be another milking, and they would deliver some in the evening too, because they didn't have ice and places, you see, to take care of all those things.
Now, where was the location of your second dairy farm? Was that at 58th and Eastern?
Well, it was all the same things, only just enlarged
160.
as the more cows and buildings and things. Well, we'd have to, of course, reach out for more land.
When you filed on this claim near 23rd and Robinson, it was a quarter section claim, I understand.
Yes.
But was contested, and you could not make use of only 10 acres until the contest was settled.
Mm-hmm, because these people had run in, you see, because Mother and Father didn't come in there until the run was over, next day after the run. And these people had come in the day before, of course, and made that run. So that left it so that the place where Father stopped there as a camp, they just stayed there because they couldn't reach out for the other land. They had no right to take it, you see, until the decision was given for...
At the location of this first farm that Dad filed on was laid south of 16th and laid just west of the Santa Fe Railroad. That would make it laying north of Parkway, south of 16th. And instead of being on 23rd Street, it was lay in this.
Then, of course, they could reach out, you see, and enlarge.
When did you move to the location at 58th and Eastern?
Well, we, of course, after the decision came, why, that threw us at first there, you see, it threw us so near the street there of Eastern. And we wanted to go back further, of course, and to have enlarged the place and the buildings and more cows to milk, so we just reached out.
And that's where you acquired the full quarter section claim?
Yes. She,
I believe you asked the date that we moved to the last location. It was in 98.
1898.
And,
How much land did you acquire there?
That was
160.
where the dairy was established later, but we never had any dairy there until 1911.
But you eventually had a half section there, is that correct?
We acquired, yes. He sold this out down here for enough eventually to acquire a half section out there. He first bought the 160 acres.
And your dairy farm was located at 58th and Eastern.
She gets confused between the two.
By this time, how many cows were you milking?
Well, at the very last, we were milking 200.
200. And that was in 19 and 24. In 18 and
40.
44. Your last location on Eastern included the acreage on which the National Cowboy Hall of Fame now stands, is that correct?
Yes, it is. It's on the northeastern, let's see a minute.
And you were a special guest of the Hall of Fame this morning.
Yes.
What was your impression of it?
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
It really was.
Any other adjectives?
You what?
Any other adjectives? Any other descriptive?
Well, I don't know. To me, it was just wonderful all the way through. It gave you, from the time of the opening and the race, on up, and how people did and what they did, and the
You were acquainted with that, but perhaps some of it escaped your recollection. Is that correct?
I expect so.
How about the ox yoke? Did you and your family give that to you, Mrs. Renwick?
No, they didn't particularly give it to me, but I kind of helped to save it because there's for a while there I wasn't thinking anything about it. But Father, when the decision was given into him there that the 160 acres was his, why then there was land there that was new land that needed to be grubbed out and all, so he hired these people to come in with their oxen and go through there and break that up and take out a lot of those tree roots and get the land in condition for farming, because it was bottom land there on Deep Fork and it was good farmland.
Mrs. Renwick, what relation is Mrs. Don Farrell of yours?
That's what?
What relative is Mrs. Don Farrell to you? What relation?
That's you? Oh, Don Farrell.
What relation is Mrs. Don Farrell to you?
Well, let's see, just how...
Can you tell me what relation Mrs. Don Farrell is of yours, or Sally as you call her?
Well, let's see. They were relations by marriage, weren't they? Except, what's his name? Bert. He's a relation to the family, blood relation.
And she is the wife of Don Farrell, who is publisher of the Lincoln County News.
That's right.
And also the state senator representing Noble, Logan,
That's right.
and Lincoln counties.
Yes, that's right. Well, I raised them.
Will you tell me about the what quarters you had at this new dairy farm at first?
At first, it begun with a tent to live in.
Had a tent.
Oh yes, just moved out there, you see, and you couldn't put in the buildings and things like that, but it wasn't settled that was yours. So that had to wait. So it was just, things just fixed up temporarily until later on, and the decision was made that.
You had a dugout also, did you?
Yes, we did have a dugout, for Oklahoma could give you some real storms.
I've heard that you had some experience in cooking beans down on the creek bank. Is that correct?
Oh, I may have just for fun of it or a little at a time, but Father got us a kind of stove as soon as he could, so we had things that we could get along. But of course, like I say, we didn't put up buildings and things because it wasn't settled, and we couldn't afford to do that. Just had to wait.
Was your conveyance still by wagon and delivering your milk?
A spring wagon, and this was a build up here in front, and the seat was back here, and 10-gallon cans with a faucet that you could turn the milk out. These people come out and bring, my father would measure it, and they'd come out and bring their container and pour that, and that settled it.
Go ahead. What was your method of refrigeration?
We delivered it as quickly as we could so people would have it, because we didn't have any buildings for things like that, and you couldn't get ice a lot of times for things and didn't have a place to keep it.
In other words, you put the responsibility on your customers.
Yes, and they knew that we had no way to take it, and they didn't a lot of times have anything more than we did in the real early days, you know. Had to wait until things got to coming in like that. But that was why we delivered it. It was cooled and put in the cans and strained, of course, and like that, and taken care of in that way, and then delivered. They had the morning delivered, then had the 6 o'clock evening delivery.
Well, I just wanted to minimize for that, the dairy that we operated on Eastern Avenue. That had nothing to do, you know, with the early days of this country.
Well,
and we did not get up to the 200-cow dairy until up in the 30s, about 33, and we operated on that basis up till in 44, in the year of 44, and that's when we sold it out due to the World War II. And back in the 20s, we didn't have. In other words, I started that dairy. That was 17 cows. But just forget about that. I didn't want to make it top-heavy there in reference to.
Tell him what you just told him now for recording.
Hmm?
Let him record what you just told him. You tell him that again so he can record it.
The fact that this dairy was not started out until 1911, and of course I started that at 17 cows, and then it was just a small dairy until up in the 20s, and we finally built it up, and up in around about 33, 35, we had that 200 cows. Retail dairy in Oklahoma City, all of it. But that is not, so far as I can see, I just didn't want to emphasize the 200 cow dairy during all those years, because.
oh no. Yes.
Did you have threats concerning your original claim when you first settled?
Only that the contest, you know, and to get your lawyers and like that, just same as they would for any other deal, because we knew that these people had come in too soon, and they had not kept the law as it should have been. They had taken the advantage. So all we had to do was to keep that and keep the witnesses and let the trials come to trial.
Where was that tried?
There in Oklahoma City.
In a district court?
I don't remember so much about that. I know Mr. Armstrong, Pittman and Armstrong was Father's first lawyers, and they took that over then.
And your father won the right to this claim finally in the court.
Yes, he did.
I presume there were many other contests in the court also.
Oh my, there were contests all around.
For both acreage and lots.
Mm-hmm.
Was that true?
But more acreage than lots, because the city, of course, was not built up. It was just a very small place, you know, there. As I said, it was just really a push-little stop for the train. That was Santa Fe. That's the only road that came in there. And that just come in and went out right away, because, of course, there wasn't a lot of things coming in and going there all the time, like a town grew better, larger.
Did you have an encampment of soldiers?
Yes, we did. That was they had some of those sent in right away because, you see, the city was not established. They didn't have things all worked out like they do now with officers of different kinds and police and all like that. So that gradually had to work up, and the soldiers came in and to help out there. I want that for
Mrs.
recording.
O'Quinn, could you give me some descriptive of the threats?
Well, I remember the type of threats I've heard my mother tell about was, for instance, Dad would have something planted, and the people who were on there who were protesting him being there would tell him that he could not gather his crop. So he went out one time and he had a Negro helping him, and he was loading this calf of corn onto the wagon, and the other man came along and said that he couldn't have it. And Mother knew that they were armed, and she could see what was going on, so she rolled up the 45 in her apron and went out and stood alongside this man. And
I
Dad
remember that part well.
continued loading and went away with it. She said the poor Negro was scared to death.
Well, somebody gets shot once in a while, you know. We didn't have it in our case, but people there around over the state was.
Well, I way of a joke, I put it this way. After so today I moved 2 or 3 times, but I'd be outside of Oklahoma City limits when I landed. The next morning I'd be in Oklahoma City. And so I have never gotten away from Oklahoma City until this last year.
Then you moved to Kearney last year. Kearney isn't very much of a city, is it?
No.
I'm fairly well acquainted with it. Mr. Bourne, about what year did you abandon the horse-drawn vehicles and start using automotive?
Well, the reason for it was just because of the trucks becoming so numerous that it wasn't too safe to drive a team. So far as any advantage is concerned, I would rather yet today deliver with a team of horses. That a good trained team of horses can deliver more milk than you could from an automobile. But
About what year?
that was in 15.
1915.
Mm-hmm.
And you continued to increase your automotive equipment from that time.
Face.
Well, a well-trained team of horses, they will not run away. That you can get to your first customer, you can go in and deliver that milk, and they'll be there. Or you can have them educated. If you've got a number of customers to make in this block on this side of the street and over yonder, and you're going to come out up here on the south side of the street when you start on the north side, those horses will be up there, and they'll be waiting for you. They'll go down there and turn that wagon around, and they'll come back stay on the right-hand side, and they'll be headed east up yonder, waiting for you. And I've had them well enough trained now. Somebody might doubt this, but I know it's the damn truth.
What type of horses did you drive? Heavy draft horses?
No, not too heavy, just heavy enough that 2 light horses could pull a milk wagon all that one person would want to deliver. And I've had those horses do this. For instance, this street is now. I'm coming down this street. I get out here. I deliver some milk. I want to meet them over here on the south side, like I said a while ago, and back east again. They'll come down here and they'll cut that wagon and hit the curb. And I taught them, and then they took care of it from that on. They had one horse to climb up on the curb and get over, cut that wagon, back it, and come again, and then come on.
So those horses will sure do it. And this was dry beans, of course. And you know, when you begin cooking them, they swell.
Well, was this down on the creek bank?
No, this is at the house, and it's down in the cellar. Mother's bed, of course, was upstairs, and with our little kitchen and those things, we carried down there until they built more. So I started cooking beans, and I never had cooked any of those dry beans before. And we wasn't supposed to bother Mother because she wasn't well. So I started with these beans down there, and I declare they kept getting bigger and bigger, and I'd have to dig them out because they'd bubble over and get on the stove. So I'd dip them out and set them aside. I'd watch a little while, and here they'd be up big enough to troop over that again, so I'd take out some more. And I thought to myself, I just begun to cry. I thought I didn't want anybody to know I couldn't even cook beans. And I just a little youngster. So I was, the tears running down my face, and I heard something coming directly, and I looked up, and there it wasn't Father. And I thought, oh dear me. So I just had to let him see, only I had dipped out a lot of the beans, and I didn't want him to see me, and so I had hid them back behind something, and I kept dipping out. So I told him what to do, and they just run over, and I couldn't do anything with them. So he helped me then to straighten the beans out, and I told him then what it was like. So that was my beans. That was my first beans.
Oh, Mrs. Renwick,
And if Father hadn't come down there, I don't know, maybe I'd been cooking beans yet.
did you later master the art of cooking beans?
Oh yes, I knew better than that after that. That was a lesson I didn't forget. I knew better to fill that kettle full to start with and start my cooking, because
That there's one thing that we did enjoy and appreciate, and that is our horses. That a horse, when he learns what you want him to do, he has a sense of duty that it takes something very unusual to throw him off. That horse is not going to get scared. Is not going to get confused. He's going to be there. You can trust him for it, and that he'll never forget a stop. He won't pass one up. And I want to make this if you want to throw it in. I just took one horse off of the lot because he was too nervous. I kept him on the farm for one whole year. I needed him one day, and I put him back on for one horse got a little lame. And it had been a year since he was by there. The horse that was with him went on by this customer because she had been gone for several days, and he knew we were not supposed to stop there. He learned it in a few days, you see. This horse that had been out on the farm for a solid year, I was getting ready for the stop down the street, and all of a sudden the wagon come to a stop, and he was not going to pass up that customer. He hadn't been there for a year, but it stayed with him for a whole year that we must wait on this customer here, you know. What an instinct to have.
Well, Mr. Bourne, that's very interesting, and I judge that you're a great admirer of horseflesh.
We loved it.
Well, he had a,
Ms. O'Quinn, you also have had some experience with horses. Will you tell me an incident or two?
well, it wasn't my experience especially. My brother had a horse. It was called Rocket, and he was trained to take cattle along by himself. They would they tie them to the horn, the saddle horn. And he would take 2 cows along, and if they didn't come along nicely, why, he would pinch them a little bit, or he would pull them and maneuver them. And he always got them home and never hurt one of them. And the other party would come along later, and the cattle would be home by the time he got there. And he never lost a cow anywhere.
I hurt with it, so I was fighting my own battle, and I was having a miserable time of it.
What's the name of this town you live in California?
In California.
What's the name?
Yucaipa?
How do you pronounce
Yucaipa, that's
it? You have a... Mrs. Renwick, the Living Legend Library is indebted to you for bringing us these reminiscences today, and also we're indebted to the other members of your family who have placed their recollections on our tape. This tape will be available, if you care to listen to it, at the Oklahoma Christian College, Memorial Road and Eastern Avenue. And Mr. Guy Ross is the director there, easily accessible, and he will be glad to play it for you. Or if any of your family friends want it played, just send them out and ask for Guy Ross, and they will be glad to play it. and Guy will do some cutting and dressing up of the film. We thank you very kindly for your presence.
Yes, I got I got 3 speeds on this.
I see.
Well, I wrote to your New York office and got some material, and I cut out some stuff out of the oil and gas joint. And I wanted to give you this story on Carl Anderson. You see that?
All right.
And what I want to do with this one of yours is put it in the January issue, and I have to have it ready by December 15th around that time. So, of course, stress the Louisiana stuff in there more or less, but of course, you've been written up so many times, but I just wanted to see I put one press release here about your background and your New York office. Doherty, manager of the public relations section. The public information section gave me this, and they gave me a story here that was in apparently I don't know what magazine the newspaper this come out of. It's an old one, I guess.
That came out of the Herald Tribune.
Yeah, New York, I guess. And that's one way back 10 years ago.
That's when I was elected president.
Yeah. What I want to do is do a little bit. I can use all this material, but I want to get something more about your family, and that's what I had in mind, because on Bob Kerr's story, everyone seemed to like the idea of the 3 sons. See?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't know the 3 sons.
That's right.
As a matter of fact, I haven't seen the youngest one since he was a little boy. When I rode out to Roswell, New Mexico, Bob Kerr for a compact committee meeting, and the little boy was about 10, 12 years old, way back in about 44 or so. But he's down to you now. And a lot of people downtown don't know the other 2 boys. One's a lawyer and the other's an engineer, of course. The engineer's in our geological society, and see him a lot. And as I remember, your wife died about 1930.
Yeah, that's right.
And see, you had to raise those 3 girls. And I'd like to get an idea just about their names, their ages. I got this clipping out of the paper, I think. One of them married Dr. S. Newton Stone. And Bob Berry, and then you got McNeese.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, what's the oldest one's name?
The oldest one's name is, her name is Love. That was a given name. That's Mrs. S. N. Stone.
Mrs. Stone.
Yeah.
And she lives here in the city.
She lives in the city.
So what kind of a doctor is he?
He's a surgeon.
Surgeon.
Yeah.
And Robert Berry, what does he do now?
He's Oklahoma born, graduate of the Oklahoma University. He's a practicing attorney.
Who's he with downtown?
He's by himself at the present time.
Isn't he a tall kind of fellow?
No, he's very
I got mixed with another Bob Berry. I got mixed up with him.
He's the son of Dr. Berry. Here was an old. All of these 3 boys are Oklahoma born.
And it's J.A. McNeese. What's his first name?
James A.
What does he do in Punk City?
He's a practicing attorney by himself. So I've got 2 attorneys and a doctor.
Of course, the girls were pretty small.
Yes, they were.
And how'd you raise them anyway?
Well, I just got a housekeeper. After running off 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, we finally got one that would stay with us.
Ordinary person would probably get married again and have somebody else raise them. But
that just didn't happen that way. They died, my wife died, right about the time of the Depression. That time
Well, you lived in Ardmore then?
Lived in Ardmore.
That was the time I was with the ITIO.
That's right.
See, and then the following year I went with Otto Bradford, and then Wirt Franklin came up the city about that time, didn't he?
Yeah, he came up, he'd been up. I had an Oklahoma City office here from about 1927. We drove 3 miles.
When did you move to Oklahoma City? That's when I went
moved there in 1941.
41, huh? You lived in Ardmore up in
From 1916. Lived there for 25 years.
Yeah. And let's see. I never have been straight. Just how you happened to come out here in the first place?
Well, I was working in New York. Graduated from high school there, manual training high school. Went to work for the Lackawanna Steel Company in their office as an office boy. And I went with a textile house up on Worth Street, New York. And at lunchtime one day, a chap told me about having been out to Oklahoma for an auditing firm, auditing the books of the Dundee Petroleum Company, which was British and Scotch owned. And he said they were always looking for people out there, so I got in touch with him and came on out. Went to work in the Ardmore office and in the field office at Wirt, warehouse. And then in about a year's time, they sold their Hilton properties to the Shell and moved the office to Tulsa. I lived up in Tulsa about a year, then came back and went to work for Rick Franklin.
You got acquainted with work just doing your ordinary duties down there at Ardmore.
That's right. We had the Dundee had the joint properties with what was then the Crystal Oil Company, which was owned by Apple Franklin, Galt, Roy Johnson.
How old is Wirt now, anyway?
Wirt is 78 years old.
See, and according to this, the dope I got, you became vice president of Wirt Franklin in 1927.
That's right.
And then it says here in 39, you formed the Fane Porter Drilling Company, Leslie Fane.
That's right.
And from, well, let's see, how long were you with Wirt? That sounds when it gets started.
I was with him up till Wirt Franklin Petroleum up till 39.
39.
That's right.
And wasn't it liquidated then?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you hooked up with Leslie Fane.
That's right. I was the chief executive officer of that for a long time.
Before I forget, I want to get back to your three daughters again. Did they graduate from college, get degrees?
One of them went to Sweetbriar, the oldest one.
Yeah.
The second one, Ruby, she got a degree from New York in business administration.
New York, what school?
I mean in Oklahoma, University of Oklahoma.
University of Oklahoma.
And the third one went to Vassar for a year, Lynch for a year, and then went to the University of Oklahoma and got married. And
what's her name? The youngest
Becky.
one?
The
Becky.
third one.
B-E-C-K-Y.
Yeah.
Becky. See.
Mrs. McNeese's name is Ruby.
Yeah. And another thing before I forget here too, the oldest one has how many children?
4 children.
What
2
are
boys and 2 girls.
And what are their ages, you remember?
Their ages are, I'm going to scale them.
It's hard to keep track of them. I got 5 of them now.
Their ages are from 14 to 6. My second daughter, Ruby, at Ponca City, has 6 children. The oldest being 17, and the youngest 5. My third daughter has 5 children. The oldest being 13, and the youngest, 1.5 years.
You had quite a family gathering at Thanksgiving.
Yeah, yes we did.
Another thing, any pictures, that's another thing too, before I forget.
Well, these were taken last Christmas. There's me and
that's a good one.
My 15 grandchildren. And there's one of the girls. I don't know whether these are any you can use.
Well, we can use those. They've never been used as I remember. I never seen them anyplace.
You haven't seen them.
Well, I will return them to you as soon as you get through using them. Because that's what we did with Bob's pictures and Carl Anderson's pictures. Return them. It'll be returned right after publication. You probably won't get them until about January 15th.
That's okay.
Well, that's swell.
Mother's on, you see.
And another thing I always think about here, a lot of gifts are.
Yeah.
I better write on this. I don't want to write on that picture. Well, we'll call this number 1.
Yeah.
Now, who's right to left? Left to right here.
Left to right. That's Love.
And she's now?
She's 45. 42.
I mean, what is her married name?
Mrs. S.N. Stone.
Stone, that's Miss
Better
Stone.
leave those ages off.
Yeah, I think it's that, yeah. And,
And the second is Ruby.
R-U-B-Y?
Yeah, Mrs. McNeese. And the third is Becky.
Mrs. Berry.
Yeah.
Now, this McNeese, is there any relation to that McNeese used to be with the
Oh, yeah,
Continental?
he's a son of.
Yeah, I think I knew him.
You
yeah.
remember
Yeah.
Jim McNeese, I'm sure.
Is Dan Mills still living up there?
I don't know.
I lost track of him.
Uh,
I don't think it's necessary to identify all these. There's too many of them. So,
yeah,
how many are there here?
15.
15 of them. Well, that's something. I think.
That was taken just last Christmas, so that's Christmas of 1959. You can walk on those. I've got
Yeah.
extra copies of them anyhow.
That's well. That's just what I need. And I think can they pick out get one of these out of New York? One of your just by yourself.
I guess you could, yeah.
And I'd like to get one
Yeah.
of those. When you get up to New York, can you have them mail me one
All
full
right.
of Doherty? Just pick out one, just mail it to me.
All right.
And I think those 3 will probably be enough.
You wanted one of these glossy prints.
Glossy prints,
Yeah.
8 by 10 size.
Mhm.
Now, let's see. I don't think it's necessary to dwell too much on this, unless you
I
want to
don't-
say
I
something
don't
about
think
St.
so.
Porter
No.
or
No.
your API. I thought maybe I might be able to use something from your speech. I got a copy of your speech up there.
Mhm.
Is there anything you want to add to that?
I don't know.
Next year,
if
what's
there
the
is.
outlook? Did you go in the
I think-
outlook for next year?
No, I think that your business is still a growth industry, all right.
I'd like to get
Question
some
about
comments on that, you know.
But I think that what people are finally awakened to is that while the demand has increased year by year to some extent, why the demand for domestic crude oil,
Yeah.
I'm just talking about crude oil,
Yeah.
has not increased. That's been due to largely to natural gas and
Yeah.
natural gas liquids.
That's right. Well, there's quite an article on that last couple of days here. Natural gas has made quite a lot of inroads, and the liquids have, and that just takes that much away from the oil.
Absolutely.
Well, I think people have been used to this 5% increase per
Oh,
year. Now it's going to be
yeah.
only be about 1 or 2%.
That's right. But it's still going to be, I think,
It's growth. It's
industry.
growth, but it's not as going to grow as fast as it has been.
That's correct.
Of course, I'm working up a story on natural gas in Oklahoma. Well, in the last 10 years, the price of natural gas has doubled, and the production of gas has doubled in Oklahoma in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So I'm just working up a little story on that.
Oh.
Of course, when you compare the price of oil and gas on a BTU basis, your gas price is only about $1.20 a barrel. But of course, I don't think you'll ever get it up very high because they won't let us in Congress.
And not for the record, but at all. But I think people ought to stop talking about getting it up on the BTU.
Yeah.
Because it scares the
I know it scares
distributors and the public to death.
I know it does.
When you start talking about 40 or 50 or 60 cent gas, well, it isn't in the picture, you
No.
see. And it won't be.
It won't be.
And
So I don't look for a price of
I
gas to go up very much farther.
don't know. I really do not. That's not for the record either.
No.
Some of these fellows better die, but gee whiz, it's just as obvious to me as can be. It just it'll seek its own level.
Mm-hmm.
Time is transported in many parts of the country. Why it can't
Well,
maintain a competitive.
well, if you get
advantage.
the price up too high, they'll go to coal.
That's right.
So the OG&E has told me that
Oh,
if the
well,
price of
yeah.
gas gets too high, we're going to go to coal.
And all of these big utilities in the east shore, they've got their standby equipment.
Sure, right.
It's just going to be a
I do
question
work
of the
for Ed Dooley
economics.
here. He's got one customer, the OG&E.
Yeah.
He doesn't want the price of gas to get too high,
Oh.
because you'll lose out.
Yes, he will.
So, was there any anecdotes or anything unusual or anything that stands out in your memory? Any comments you might want to make about Wirt Franklin or anybody else in particular?
Well, of course, Wirt Franklin was really my great friend and
That's right.
mentor and booster.
That's right. You mentioned
He
it
did
in one of these stories here.
He did so many things for me, and
He's still active too, isn't he?
he is, yes.
I don't think so.
He's been ill, though,
Has he?
I'm afraid, Joe. But he started taking me around with him, and in the early 20s, and he always
Mhm.
introduced me to the top people and identified me,
Oh, yeah.
and I learned a great deal from him because Wirt was a good practical well man.
Yeah, that's, well, some people had a hard time understanding him, but
Yeah, but
then
that's all right. He did a whole lot for the
I always
audience.
enjoyed talking to him. And
Yeah.
so forth.
He's a very forceful character,
Mhm.
and certainly a tremendous worker.
Mhm.
But my association with him was always very fine. In fact, my association with people in the oil industry has been
Mhm.
a source of pleasure and gratification all the time I've been in it.
Another thing I want to talk about or write about it all, but Claude Barrow's telling me here a while back that you've been wanting to get out there eventually and so forth. I don't know.
Well, of
But,
course.
you're getting up in years yourself,
Yeah.
and you don't want to stay there forever. I imagine you want to come back here to Oklahoma, be close to your
Yeah.
daughters and grandchildren,
That's
things
right.
like that. So
But I
I
haven't.
don't know if you're going to be there
made
another
any-
year now.
That's right.
Mm.
So I made no definite plans on it. I've operated on a very nice basis with them. They've been very considerate. I've been
Well, I
able
imagine you'd have a tough time finding anybody to take your place.
Well,
How did that go?
Well, that might be. You might not, you can't tell. But it has been a very fine experience for a guy from Brooklyn that comes out
Yeah.
and
So
not
how
a
much
big
time do you
operator.
spend here in Oklahoma City during the year? Though?
well, very, very little. I spend
Mhm.
80% of my time in the yard.
I mean, just 20% here, and I
Yeah.
imagine you'd like to spend more.
That's right.
Well, that's the only drawback to it, as I see it.
Mhm.
I imagine the work is interesting and so forth, and you don't seem to have too many problems or anything to speak of. At least I don't hear anything. What to read about it.
Well, we operate very quietly, and we don't go in for much publicity as
No,
well.
no.
We don't have any press conferences except once a year. You
That's
see,
right, once a year in
Right,
Chicago. Of course, the IPA is pretty active, of course, on account of their situation,
Yeah.
imports and these like that. And then these state associations have a lot of state problems and so on. Is there anything that you can think of that might be of interest to the Gulf Coast people at all? I mean, anything that might be of interest to them? Like this magazine, there are 10,000
Yeah.
circulations in Mississippi, Alabama,
Mhm.
and Louisiana and Texas, now Oklahoma, and I'm trying to get them into Arkansas. Hell, it's like the Rocky Mountain Auto Reporter, regional magazine.
Yeah.
I'm going down there for Christmas. My daughter lives in Lake Charles, and
Oh, yeah.
spend a couple of days. I don't know if they even know this old fellow or not.
What
Bill
is
Brandon.
what's your daughter's husband do? Is he-
He's a dentist in
Yes.
Lake Charles.
Mhm.
She went down to work after she got through the OU. She was a Campfire Girls field executive,
Mhm.
and she got to meet him in the same church there. Real nice family. His father's in the oil business in Houston
Oh, yeah.
with the Lenore Josie Company. They used to be up here in Oklahoma,
Oh,
Josie
sure,
Oil Company.
Sure.
And they often,
Yeah.
and there's a son, Lenore, is the son of this old man who used to be up here.
Sure.
Remember you heard
Yeah.
about in eastern Oklahoma.
That's right.
And they live right out of a little town called Crosby outside of Houston.
What does the
They're-
boy do out there?
Well, that's kind of a sad case. He's a mechanic, really, by profession, but got married, and his wife just made a nervous wreck out of
Well,
it.
that's
Struggled
right.
and sent him to hospital in Norman in February.
Oh,
He was there 2 months, and he got up to transfer to the VA hospital. So you're not sick enough to be in the hospital, but she wouldn't let him come home. And she just.
Oh, it's a hell of a
So I got in, but he's still nervous. He's drinking water all the time. And of course, you know what that does. He has to run to the
Yeah.
restroom all the time. He's working out here at Judge Richardson, but he did good work, but he couldn't keep up the pace. So I got him working for me now.
I
So
see.
I just keep pushing him as much as possible.
Get him some confidence.
And he's taking these tranquilizers, and he's gradually snapping out of it. But his wife really needs treatment herself, because she's got what we call a paranoid neurotic personality. In other words, she's right, everybody else is wrong. And
See, what an unfortunate thing.
she told him that the best thing, the only way she'd ever take him back for us to, my wife and I, to drop dead, see? And also that she's been trying to straighten out my wife for 6 years and so on. He said, my wife does this on the same thing to her, see? The kids all wanted to come back home. That's the reason we were taking them out this afternoon. And so he's over there at their house now. You wouldn't think anything was wrong.
I say.
So he put on 20 pounds in the hospital. So I don't know when it started, but the doctors seem to think it's her fault. But it may have started before that in the service. He got awfully homesick, and he came home weekends. But you never know when those things start up. So he's gradually getting over it now. We're going to take him along with it. The lawyers keep fussing about it. Well, of course, the trouble, we guaranteed the loan on the house, and she wants the house, but we want her folks to take our places on the note, mortgage note.
Yeah.
But they won't do it.
Was she was an Oklahoma City girl?
El Reno.
Mm-hmm.
She was Roy's sister, my daughter, see, down Norman. She's nice and she wants to be. She's got 3 nice children. The oldest child is really whiz on rocks and minerals. She's 6 years old. I give her the rocks and minerals from all over the country. She can pick out the rocks and mineral book and go right there and pick it out. She's learning how to read now. So it's a sad case.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Of course, it's upset my wife too, and we've been trying to get to Europe for 2 years. My wife's got an independent income of her own now because her father left her a third of his estate, and she had a sister and a mother, and she called up her mother every Sunday up in Wisconsin. She's 90 years old now, and we were wanting to go up there the 1st of October. We just couldn't get away on account of this situation. So we decided we just won't drive up there now, and wait till next spring again. We were up there last April, and now we're going down to be with our daughter for Christmas, and then I'll go to New Orleans for a couple of days, take the son with me. So he's really my secretary in the sense. So I got him taking these weekly API figures and drawing up charts. And I want to do more writing. I started out in college and journalism.
You like to write?
Oh, I like to write. I've been writing for 40 years. I did it in high school, and I wrote sports mostly. I got my nickname playing baseball, Ty Cobb, you know. See, I was assistant sports editor, but I got interested in the oil business in one summer in West Virginia and changed my course, got a degree in geology, but I don't have much competition in this sort of work. Many people doing this type of work.
I don't know of anybody.
It's Swamps and I are carrying on a nice conversation. I'm helping him find books, and he's helping me. So we're working.
You got a copy of our bibliography?
Oh yes, yeah. I borrowed it from Kerr McGee, and they got 2 copies somehow or other, and they brought one, someone gave them one, so they let me borrow theirs. So that was a nice thing you did there, because I'm very active in the library.
If you need one yourself,
I kind of like to have one. I kind of like to have one of my own. I have to return this. So I got quite a library of my own. I've built up a lot of this stuff. But Ed and I have a lot in common. I've been working on a dictionary down in Norman for the OU Press for the last 3-4 years. And they broke one in 52 as a school teacher, but she did a poor job of it. And it's got about 6,000 definitions of what they wanted. There's something about 20,000 and about like the Webster style. So I've been working on that with Lawtonville down in Norman. So I want to do more of that. I can keep on writing for the next 15 years, I guess, or more, 20 years. So it's a nice, interesting life. This thing here, I got it all down. You want to listen back a little bit and see what the voice sounds?
Yeah, I'll have to do.
So I was asking whether there's any outstanding discoveries at any time that you can remember.
Well, of course, at the time associated with Work Franklin, why he was really in on the discovery of the Oklahoma City field. In other words, he obtained some leases there and sold a half interest in them to the ITIO at the time they drilled their wells, their discovery well out there.
That Prosper Park lease, friend.
That Prosper Park lease and several others, the names I do not remember. But the Work Franklin Petroleum Corporation and Work Franklin personally and the Cromwell Franklin Oil Company, they must have drilled 80 or 90 wells in the Oklahoma City field. Of course, people don't remember exactly, but those were tremendous wells. You remember?
I remember, sure. I was here in the 30s.
I mean, I don't know of any other place in the Southwest where they had such tremendous potentials as they did. And these were real potentials. These were gauges.
I know, that 65-day shutdown didn't do any good.
No, it didn't. It was horrible. It just gets...
Some of those wells I think you opened them up after 65 days and they were dumped in water, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Get the water off.
you brought them in, and then shut them in for 65 days.
Yeah.
Then the time you opened them up, boy, you had water encroachment.
Yeah.
Of course, Wirt Franklin struggled so hard to bring a lot of development there. He wanted to bring all these wells in under with tubing instead of blowing them the way they did in the casing.
I'm making like a 9-inch casing idea.
Yeah, and then as you remember, I didn't get much cooperation. Everybody was out to get a big potential.
Yeah.
And then they had that time proration, like to produce it.
Yeah.
So many hours a week.
Okay, that was in 1930.
Yeah, maybe 6 or 7 hours a week. Well, you got that tremendous surge at the time. It was wide open. And that was the form of proration they had. They had just what they called time proration.
Well, I could weave some of that stuff in about you and your efforts with work trying to improve conservation efforts and focusing on city field and mention these number of wells and so forth. And in your association with Spain Port, were there any outstanding discoveries there?
No, not that
I can't think of anything on my hand, offhand.
We developed some production, of course, as we went along.
Yeah.
But I'm out of the tool business now completely.
You sold out entirely, I remember.
Yeah, but I'm still in the production end of it.
Well, I think I can build up enough information here, and if not, I'll have to ask more questions in the mail or something like that.
As far as I know, outside of that's going out to the compact meeting, I'll be in New York now for about the 18th, and I'll be back here.
And you'll be here for the Christmas holidays.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'll probably leave here around the 22nd or so, or something like that. Appreciate you calling when you get back to town. And this is anything. But I'll have this. I'd like to have this stuff sent in New Orleans around the 5th, by the 15th.
Yeah.
And if you send that one picture in New York to yourself, then you get you one out of that file there, and then two I think that would be enough.
Fine.
And I don't know whether you noticed this or not. Here, I do the story here on Oklahoma every month. So that keeps me on my toes too.
Yeah.
So I just give the highlights and proration. I didn't mention the gas wells. Just like the biggest gas well in the state up here in Garber, and next the biggest down in the Spiral Field down in LaFleur County. And if people don't know those little oddities, I'd like to see more of that. And I appreciate the cooperation the bunch of New Yorkers gave me. I'm getting these weekly statistics now, and that's something that, the compact used to do a lot of that, and I was with them. We put out these figures by states showing how they compared. I think that was good. That always showed everybody just what they're each one doing, and shows what the other states are doing. Just focuses attention without saying a word, see. I don't know, I just hope things will improve. I think Earl's probably too old, maybe. Other than that, I think that General Counsel's report is fairly good when he put it out now. Yeah, that's a step in that right direction, shows what each state's doing, things like that.
Well,
I don't know, what Lawrence's idea, if you asked him point blank, I imagine he thinks his full-time job is just arranging for meetings and taking care of hotel reservations. He's apparently not sure of himself. He hates to get up in public. I never hear him making a speech in a place. And I never hear him getting out in the open on anything. He'd probably be a good office manager, and that's about as far as it goes.
Has Claude Barrow, has he retired?
Next month.
Next month.
So I don't know what his plans are. I want to write a story on him
Yeah, you should do it.
for this magazine. I'm with the Seal Shaker, our Geological Society magazine. I got a column in there every month called The Listening Post. I don't get any money for that at all, but it builds goodwill.
Yeah, that's right.
And
Keep your name there.
keep my name for the public, and then these fellows, what we're trying to do is to show where they're going and try to stress geological angles. Because we've got 800 members, we write up a lot on. And I wrote a story on broccoli the other day. He felt the day took me out to lunch and gave me his picture, and I got a nice story on him. And the one thing I didn't know, the day the Oklahoma City well came in, the Anderson Pritchard got the first oil well down in Sissaquah, the same day. So I played up that angle in that magazine. He'd never been written up before.
I remember Brockman, they used to have these hearings out there and these water allowables in the Simpson, and they asked about one question. I thought, well, how much of these Simpson wells produce now?
Right level here. We'll stop in a little bit just to see if I catch, and that's a very sensitive microphone there. Now I just want to pick up on this information. You were born in Rockford, Illinois, November 22nd, 1895. When you were 3, your family moved to Chicago. Your father was a practicing physician. You graduated from Lakeview High School and attended Lane Tech. And when you left Lane Tech, you went into the investment bond business. And then your other ventures, you went into the oil business. I'd like to elaborate a little more back in there and say something about, was your father born in Sweden, or your mother was born in Sweden too?
My father was born in Sweden, and my mother was born in Sweden.
You know, remember what towns or anything?
Yes, in Jönköping.
Jönköping, oh yes, I know where that is.
Then a group of them, my older sister and my brother were born in Sweden.
Mm-hmm.
And a group of young people, all friends of theirs, decided they wanted to come to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother and father had saved up the money, and some of their friends didn't have enough money, so they loaned them enough money. So about a dozen of them came over, about a sixth-grade couple.
They come to Rockford?
They came to Rockford, Illinois, where they had some other friends.
Well, there's some nice Swedes there anyway. I guess most of about, what is about a third or half the population is Swedes or something? In Rockford?
Oh, I'd say 60% anyway. At
Well,
that
I mean,
time, it was about 80%.
You can't Scandinavians all go together like my hometown in Wisconsin. A lot of my folks relatives are there too, and friends too.
Then my father also, to make extra money, was a wonderful masseur.
I know you told me that once before.
And he used to make extra money from his job in Rockford. He would go down to the old famous Nelson Hotel.
Oh yes, I've been to see there.
And he built up quite a reputation for his masseur. Then he was invited at a very nice salary to move to Chicago and take charge of the bath department of Chicago Athletic Club and the masseur. And there he got the idea that he wanted to become a physician. And with 4 children, he went to Harvard Medical College in Chicago and studied at night. And took his internship at Cook County Hospital and graduated with high honors as a practicing physician.
Yeah. What is his first name?
Carl O.
Carl O.
Carl O. and Dr. Carl O. Anderson.
Now, you say there are 4 children in your family. How many brothers and sisters?
I had 1 brother and 2 sisters.
Is your brother still living?
Yes.
And where is he located?
And now retired down in Orlando, Florida.
I see. What is his business?
He was connected with the Chicago Telephone Company for 34 years, now retired.
What's his first name?
Eric W.
How do you spell that?
E-R-I-T.
And your 2 sisters?
And one sister died during the flu, and the other sister, Esther Ann Johnson, is a housewife, and her daughter is living with her in North Park.
Chicago, right? North side of Chicago. I remember something about this, let's see, you got an investment bond business, you worked there in Chicago a while?
Yes, worked in Chicago,
And,
on the South Street.
when did you leave Lane Tech, for instance? What year?
What year? Let's see, Lane Tech, left Lane Tech in,
1915 or 20 or something like that?
left Lane Tech in about 19, the war came on in 17, didn't it?
Yeah.
About 1915.
Yeah. Let's stop right here and let's listen, see how, see if I got the right level here. I got an electric eye over here.
Yeah.
Just as long as that shuts, I'm all right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we stopped there about LaSalle Street there in
Yeah.
about 1917. Is there anything you want to say about that? As I remember, you went to Florida around 1925.
Well, then I went to war and I joined the
Oh, yes. Well, let's
naval.
get your war experience in.
Yeah.
Forgot about that.
Joined naval, U.S. Naval Aviation Forces and went to Norfolk, Virginia to see if I couldn't get officers training school for the Air Force. And in order to get in, they gave me the highest rating they could, which was first class mechanic, with the understanding that I would go to Boston Tech and then be a flyer and so forth and so on. But never had the opportunity to go to Boston Tech. But finally, when the war was over in December of 17, I was mustered out. And then went back to Chicago, and then got into the investment field. And then
About 1918, 1919.
yeah. Then I stayed there for several years and got into made a sojourn to the South and got interested in neon signs, and I organized the Art Sign Corporation in Jackson, Mississippi, and then expanded my operation and moved to New Orleans, and then had several years experience in that, and then finally sold out that business and went into the investment business again. And while I was selling municipal bonds through country banks in Mississippi out of New Orleans, why they had discovered oil in Yazoo City.
What year was that?
That was in 1938. And then I went out to see the oil well with my wife, and things so happened that another party and myself bought an eighth of the royalty of 792 acres from Old Man Woodruff. And from then on, I became very interested in oil.
You live in Jackson?
And lived in New Orleans that time.
lived in
Then
New Orleans.
after a while, moved to Jackson to be closer to the oil activity. And deposit during the bank building. So we had a lot of experience in buying, leasing, royalty, and trading in various oil properties. And after several years, my partner and I felt that we had.
Who was your partner?
George Mitchell.
Mitchell.
Yeah.
Is he still alive?
Yeah, he's living and he retired.